Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. We're all doing great, and welcome to this new video here on XRP. Wanted to do a full update here on XRP, a little bit about next week as well. Looking forward, going to Wednesday through Friday, we have a lot of news I think you need to know about. Which, I mean, to be fair, if we talk about the last couple of weeks for XRP, even when the market was very, very volatile, XRP did react to it, of course, but the reaction compared to Bitcoin was relatively mild. All right, so even though this news matters, the chart looks very messy, by the way. Excuse me for that, but even though the news matters and you should know about it, that's why we'll talk about it. It's most likely not going to change the entire trend for XRP. Just so you know. And I wanted to say something else about XRP, but oh yeah, there's no fundamental news we need to talk about. Regarding Ripple specifically right now, there was some news about not going public in 2025, or Ripple not going public, which I understand. I mean, if I were Ripple, I would also not want to go public. It's best for a lot of these crypto companies, unless they're fully legal, right, and they're fully applying to all the legal frameworks. It's best to kind of be in the gray area where they still have some opportunities and some possibilities to do some activities that that companies listed could not do. But all right, no, when I'm talking about XRP, like I said, the news that we'll have next week, it's not going to change the trend. The trend for XRP, in my opinion, is very much still a range. I can see why you would call this a downtrend or a bullish flag as well, because as you can see right here, we have been forming lower lows and lower highs. But ultimately, I think the price action we're seeing, I think that the price action we're seeing at the edges of my proposed range, and the price action over the last couple of months, I think that confirms the range, right? Because, for example, like one of the key lower lows right here, which you need this lower low to make the arguments that this is a downtrend, that first of all coincided with a spike we had the 3rd of February, which spikes like that are very often to get retested. So that's normal. And then outside of that, this price action we had very much looks like a fake out, right? A fake out and a reclaim back into the range. And all the price action we've seen in the last couple of weeks confirms that. So therefore, I still think we're in this range. On the higher time frames. Now on the lower time frames, there can still be a lot of variability, right? We could still drop down to $2 and 2.05 before heading up to the POC right here at 2.41 and potentially 2.7. Who knows? So that's a possibility, but we could also just hold this level right here at 2.17, which intraday is actually a relevant support level, and rally from there. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Brief summary of all the news. On Friday, we have unemployment rate and non-farm payrolls. Thursday, we have initial jobless claims and manufacturing PMI. Wednesday is the biggest day. Then we have core PCE price index, which is inflation rate basically, and GDP data. And then on Tuesday, we have the trade balance, which with all the import tariffs matters a lot as well. So that's what you need to know. But like I said, you should know about it because it's going to cause short-term volatility. It's most likely, unless the data deviates a lot from what was expected, it's unlikely to alter the course of the trend. But for example, I mean, if the trade balance for the US all of a sudden is almost positive, it's more likely that these trade deals will be a little bit more lenient, and that's obviously going to be bullish. But right, so taking a look at XRP right here on the shorter time frames, it looks like we're finding some balance right here. I would argue between 2.17 and 2.23. I see no reason to drop down below that yet. I think it's most likely that that's going to hold. Obviously, that depends a lot on the opening, but so far Bitcoin is also holding on relatively well. So for me, it seems most likely that XRP is going to hold this. And at this point of time, even though a liquidity grab down to 2.05, 2.6 is a possibility, I would still say it's most likely we'll get a continuation up to 2.35 and 2.4. That looks most likely for Bitcoin, in my opinion. XRP at this point, volume, by the way, for XRP is still very low again. But XRP over the last day is also for 84% correlated to Bitcoin. So that's and it's like I said earlier, it's in line with the technicals right now. So therefore, I'd say that's most likely. But that's what I think you need to know regarding this weekend, but also next week already. I'll be back tomorrow again. For now, have a great Sunday. Take care. And bye.